Do you have elephants in your board meetings? Hi, this video covers 3 key aspects of effective board meetings, including briefly how to address elephants in a board meeting. We use the example of a board meeting of the Post Office Limited of the United Kingdom on the 16th of July 2013. This meeting handled issues related to the infamous Horizon scandal. At the meeting, key issues raised in an interim report by an external forensic investigator were not adequately debated or even discussed. As a result, the board missed a good opportunity to address the plight of postmasters, sub-postmasters, and sub-postmistresses who are key stakeholders of the organization. First, we consider key elements of an effective board meeting. Jane Okot Pibitek Langoya, a leading governance professional from Uganda, uses the analogy of a board meeting as a factory. According to Jane, a board meeting is a factory through which a board can process and produce desired outcomes for the organization. This is achieved through discussion and debate. This means that conducting effective board meetings is extremely important for the success of any organization. The key factors of an effective board meeting include covering the meeting agenda, adequate debates on the items of the agenda, ensuring that there is adequate information to form the basis of discussion and debate in the meeting, and good time management. In a previous video, Dr. Rita Kabatunzi went into depth or detail to cover all these important aspects of an effective board meeting. In this video, we only cover some of the aspects of the effective board meeting, applying them to the Post Office Limited of the United Kingdom. The Horizon scandal was a scandal in which there was a gross miscarriage of justice against sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses of the post office. These were over 700 sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses. They were wrongly prosecuted for theft, fraud, and false accounting on the basis of faults or bugs in the post office's Horizon software or IT system. Sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses were individuals who ran smaller post office branches, typically in rural areas or suburban areas. They operated branches independently under a contract with the post office. They were not direct employees, but they managed the services provided at their branches. As for the Horizon software, it was introduced in 1999. It was designed to automate and digitize the management of financial transactions of post office branches. However, errors in the Horizon system led to false shortfalls in branch accounts. For example, one sub-post mistress called Sima Misra was wrongly convicted and sentenced to 15 months in prison. The reason? She was wrongly convicted of stealing £74,000 from her post office branch in the village of West Blyfit in Surrey. A Horizon software bug caused the shortfall, and this evidence was used against her in the court of law to secure her conviction. But she was not the only one. Between 2000 and 2014, over 700 sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses were convicted of theft, fraud, and false accounting. To make matters worse, it was the post office itself which was prosecuting its own sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses. It had the power to prosecute these people in the courts of law. By 2012, there was growing pressure from an association of the sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses and members of parliament about Horizon's reliability and the wrongful prosecutions. In response to this pressure, the post office appointed Second Sight, an independent forensic accounting firm, to investigate the complaints from the sub-postmasters and the sub-postmistresses. Second Sight issued an interim report on the 8th of July 2013 and identified 2 specific incidents where defects or bugs in the Horizon system caused incorrect balances or transactions affecting 76 branches. On the 16th of July 2013, the Post Office Board met to discuss important issues, including the Second Sight's interim report on Horizon. The in-house lawyer or the general counsel prepared a document to guide a discussion and offered suggestion on how to proceed. The meeting was attended by 6 board members, including the chair and the CEO, and 5 non-executive directors. In the meeting, the General Counsel was not allowed to present the paper that they had prepared with respect to the interim report of Second Sight. This was despite the fact that they actually came to the venue of the meeting, but they were not allowed into the boardroom to discuss the paper and the way forward. Despite Second Sight's findings, the General Counsel's paper was not given the due attention that it deserved at the meeting of the 16th of July 2013. The report had been circulated to the board members by email just a few days earlier by the company secretary on the 12th of July 2013. The board members therefore had an opportunity of addressing their minds to the contents of the report. A number of lessons arise as to how a board can exercise oversight over the organization through effective board meetings. The board must adhere to the agreed agenda and discuss all the issues and ensure that they are all closed. In the agenda for the meeting, it was stated that the General Counsel would present the paper of the update of the interim report presented by Second Sight. However, on the day of the meeting, she was not allowed to enter the board meeting despite the fact that she actually went to the venue of the meeting but was not allowed to enter to discuss the paper. Instead, the CEO spoke to the paper, yet she did not have the technical skill of a lawyer and she is not the one who authored the paper itself. To the extent that the General Counsel was not allowed to speak to the paper and yet the agenda provided that the General Counsel was supposed to do so, this was a departure from the agreed agenda. Agendas are not cast in stone. The board would decide what to discuss. If the agenda is departed from, good reasons would have to be given, either because of an urgency of a matter or a pressing issue as a reason for the board to discuss, but certain matters required more time to be discussed. Effective board meetings would require deliberations or discussions or debates in the boardroom based on information that is comprehensive and that is accurate. The absence of the General Counsel was also problematic. It prevented the board from an opportunity of challenging management or challenging the General Counsel about certain proposals that they had made within the update or the report that they had presented to the board. And they also would have had an opportunity to probe further certain issues concerning Second Sight, concerning the convictions. But this was not done. They could not offer the same challenge to the CEO who presented the report that should have been presented by the General Counsel. So what that did was to deprive the board of crucial information that would have influenced their deliberations concerning the Second Sight report. In an effective board meeting, the board should thoroughly discuss important issues on the agenda. To be fair, the board did discuss aspects concerning the Second Sight report, but they, for example, discussed if there were any risks of claims against Post Office for wrongful convictions. And so they also discussed if there would be insurance cover in the event that this actually happened. But they did not discuss the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room was the over 700 postmasters who were wrongly convicted, whose lives had been turned upside down by these wrongful convictions. The board did not discuss the bugs. They did not discuss the findings that there were bugs within the Horizon system. Imagine that for many years, the management had represented to the board that the Horizon system was actually secure, was safe, was virtually fail-proof. But the board did not delve deeply into these issues. Perhaps if the board had discussed the matter more thoroughly and more deeply, they would have addressed the elephant in the room and would have taken measures in order to address the problems or the challenges that had been visited upon the sub-postmasters for all these years, all these several years. And this would have been good corporate governance. This would have been effective oversight over the Post Office. The chair of the board at a commission of inquiry concerning the Post Office Horizon scandal admitted that the board did not thoroughly discuss the General Counsel's paper. This means that this matter was allowed to slip through the cracks, and an opportunity for the board to deal with this with finality was lost. But this raises the question of whose responsibility it is to identify the elephants in the room. This would be the responsibility of every board member, but especially the board chair and the company secretary, to identify those matters that the board needs to discuss, and discuss urgently within the board meeting. This was a busy board. All the board members who appeared before that commission of inquiry expressed the fact that this was a busy board. This was a board that challenged management, but they did not challenge management on this particular issue. They did not address the elephant in the room. The elephant in the boardroom is an obvious problem or difficult situation that board members do not want to talk about. It may be something which the board is aware of, or that the board ought to be aware of. However, the board fails or refuses to address it directly, either because of fear, groupthink, or sometimes negligence. Concerning the role of the company secretary to help the board to identify and deal with elephants in the boardroom, Dr. Rita Kabatunzi has stressed the importance of emotional intelligence to be applied by the company secretary. This would apply not just to identify elephants in the board meeting itself, but elephants within the organization which the board ought to take note of and address or deal with for the betterment or for the interests of the organization. Perhaps a board chair would also need to apply emotional intelligence to identify elephants in the boardroom or in the organization as well. Other ways to address elephants in the boardroom include ensuring strong formal and informal information flows, engaging with stakeholders by the board, fostering healthy board dynamics with open debates, conducting regular external board evaluations, and promoting a culture where difficult topics can be confronted. It is also helpful to have a majority of non-executive directors on the board. Even having the right board composition where the relevant skills are represented on that board are relevant for identifying and addressing elephants. Failure to address elephants could mean that the organization may fail to address significant risks facing the organization, or ethical breaches or injustices caused by the organization. This was the case with the Post Office Limited. The meeting of the 16th of July shows that effective board meetings are crucial for effective board oversight. One may argue that it was only one meeting, but boards utilize meetings in order to discuss important matters and pass resolutions and drive the business forward. So cumulatively, when a board has effective meetings, they have a cumulative effect, a positive impact on the governance of the organization. On the other hand, when meetings are not conducted effectively and consistently so, it allows too many matters to fall through the cracks. And in the end, the board may be very busy having meetings and providing oversight, but it will be inadequate oversight. Certain risks that could have been nipped in the bud will be allowed to grow and to blossom to the detriment of the organization. The over 700 sub-postmasters still remained aggrieved, and they remain aggrieved to this day. But that was an opportunity for the board members to intervene and steer the post office in the right direction.